What's going on, everyone, and welcome to a revisit of the first role rework that we did here on the channel, and that was for Trickster, all the way back in January. After the achievements video, hopefully, cross fingers, yet to finish it, comes out at the beginning of the month, I figured I'd go back to the first rework we did and kind of talk about it, see the response, go through some changes now that, we're further along in the season. And so I figured to do that. If you notice in the bottom right or the bottom left, it is March currently. This video is going out in May, so there could be some things that change. But as in terms of a rework, most people don't seem to like re-edit after a few months, so I figured I'd wanted to do something like that. So this is the revisited role rework for Trickster as of, we can basically say April at this point. So, let's talk about some changes after the video and the rework came out. And here they are. So for the version 1.3 of Trickster, added Marshal and Socialite to roles that aren't affected by Trickster, obviously because they don't visit. Added Investigator's Percept interaction to roles that are affected by Trickster. Added functionality against Retributionist and Necromancer per the suggestion of Dart Times 6048. Took away Trickster's functionality on Illusionist, as Illusionist is now Astral, and if Serial Killer attacks use Cautious, it will ignore the Trickster. Pretty good on the backside. So, that was just some things to add in the end. We'll get to kind of the community thoughts, but overall, it seemed to be pretty positive. There were, of course, some people that just absolutely hated it, but there will always be those, to be fair. So, let's talk about some of the smaller changes. So, added Marshal and Socialite to the Trickster does not affect. Added Retributionist and Necromancer to Trickster does affect. In a world where, because I've already released the video on trying to make Town of Salem 2 weaker, if this role was in Salem 2 weaker, then I would say Trickster would not kill anything. But trade-off, Trickster has unlimited tricks or taunts. Could be a potential workaround from there. However, that's where we're at with it. Now let's look at kind of the perception. So you'll get to see all of these comments, but I kind of put it on a nice little graph. So the further up is positive. Some people thought I went a little too underpowered. Some people thought it was still overpowered. Still trying to keep the idea of Trickster without completely overhauling it. And I thought I did a good job on it. Mystic did an amazing job helping me, and we labbed it out pretty well. Obviously, there will be people that are going to complain, and the rest of this video is going to be talking about the complaints and then kind of what the next reworks look like. So, Celine enjoyed the fact that taking rid of a town killing and putting it and giving a new town killing slot, which would be a good thing to do. Still really oppressive against killers, which it's less oppressive against killers, and that's okay. Chili said rework is okay. Toast said it would be more broken than OG Trickster, and so the goal was to make Trickster stronger when I created the role. So Toast at least agreed that it was stronger. Cartoonists feel like the person should attack themselves with a powerful attack. Serial Killer doesn't kill themselves. Coven can't sometimes, but it's definitely better, which we'll appreciate. Paper Studio, so it's Tavern Keeper with limited charges, but the potential to make the victim kill themselves. Absolutely yes. That is a good way of describing it. And the person who makes the soundtrack for Better TOS 2 personally liked it a lot. But there are also people who didn't like it, like Trimman, which is why I have them blocked. Don't know if it's an overpowered or underpowered. They start talking about Necromancer and Retributionist, so making that interaction work. TOS1, Transporter with a few steps, which is okay. It gives a way for Transporter to get back in the game, right? Sand, talking about the Trick and Monarch combo, which is totally doable, and I think would be a reasonable synergy to have. Joseph talked about the X interaction similar to Monarch. However, X doesn't do that thanks to things that have already happened. Trick Eduardo says Trick needs to have basic defense till attacked to make it more useful than a glass cannon, so a little more on the weaker side. And Barry says that it makes things a little more complicated, which in the scheme of trying to make the game easier for newcomers, I understand, but we already have some pretty out there roles. And then the last little bit is Curse talking about the different reasons that Trickster is bad, and talking about a Throne of Lies, which I've never played, but you know, you can only do so many things with a social deduction game. Duck bouncing back, saying that it's pretty good to be in town support. And explaining a different way of viewing town support. And then Bracurin saying that if the target could visit, Trickster should make them visit, which would strengthen up Trickster a lot. Could potentially be a balance for that as well. So that was the community reaction to the Trickster rework. Just some final closing thoughts before we get to the next ones, or the next things I'm working on. So it was fun to kind of work through Trickster. I now fully understand why BMG is so slow to doing these changes, is because you're generally going to have people that complain. There were people that complained when Marshall and Socialist came out. There were people that complained before they even played it. There were people that complained when Investigator got their changes, even though I thought that was a really, really good change, similar to Admire, similar to Delusionist. And so the balance of, do you make the game stronger and more people will complain about the power creep, or do you make the game weaker and more people will complain that the rolls are weak? That is something to consider. Anytime I do a role rework, unless it's most of the time the role reworks are for making a role stronger. Otherwise, I would have a Witch role rework where I would completely nerf out Witch. So, and a lot of the nerfs I already covered in a different video. So, the next rework, so obviously there's going to be an achievements overhaul. Whether that came out or not is beyond my control. I'm currently working through that. My goal is to get that out May 1st. And this is obviously out later. Then, specifically role-wise, either Dreamweaver or Jinx would be the next two I could see being reworked. But I would like to take a step back and rework another game mechanic, which is Ghost Points. I almost said Ghost Town. No, Ghost Points. Because I know that was implemented as hey, this is something we want to work on, and then they shelved it. And so handling how that works and things you can do with that, I think would be a good video to handle and a good video to do. So that is all for the revisit for Role Rework Trickster. I hope you enjoyed. We'll be catching you on another video in the future. Thank you.